in other aspects as well. About Indian Ocean and Indo-Pacific, and he clearly alluded to the fact that the Indian Ocean is. You actually go into the history as students of geography. The ancient times, we hear about 7 seas, not oceans, covering the Aegean Sea, Adriatic Sea, Mediterranean Sea, Black Sea, Red Sea, Caspian Sea, and also the Persian Gulf thrown into it to make 7 seas. We have also learnt about North and South Atlantic, 2 seas, North and South Pacific, that makes 4, Indian Ocean, Arctic, and the Southern Ocean, which is Antarctic. We have heard about 5 oceans. That is the most popular knowledge, which we speak of Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, Arctic, as well as Antarctic. Now, that is the information that we have in our heads when we are talking about the oceans. They made reference to the open and free Indo-Pacific in the Indian Parliament, and he spoke in Kenya about I think 2017. That was not a totally new development, because 100 years ago there have been others who have been speaking about Indo-Pacific. But most recently, the United States has shown interest in the Indo-Pacific, which is, of course, a strategic construct, for the simple reason we also know that it is not putting 2 Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean, but part of the Pacific and part of the Indian Ocean, leaving a small patch of, or a considerable patch of Indian Ocean, and several other countries look at the Indo-Pacific, the new concept, covering a larger area, that is from the Pacific and coming up to new development, and in time to come I think we will hear more. I think last year, Japan came with a new going to look like. So this type of new thinking are likely to continue in the future as well. So Indo-Pacific, as we know today, may take a different size or shape in strategic developments that may take place in our area in time to come. Then the President also made some information, the Russian Federation and the impact of those sanctions, not only affecting the result of that development. We see new developments taking place. Countries like India, countries like China, using their own currencies for trade, including trade in oil, which has been hitherto been limited to the US dollar. So that is one development. Then, of course, there are other developments taking place. Countries like even Sri Lanka, which had difficulties in the debts, Sri Lanka had to pay to Iran for a long period of time, but it was unable to do so due to the fact that the sanctions did not permit use of dollars, dollar transactions to settle or get into business with Iran. So even countries like Sri Lanka was able to make use of the current situation and during the last 10-15 years. Then, of course, he also mentioned about the threats to international trade, Houthi attacks against ships. It will not be limited to attacks against trade or international trade, but there are fears also that there will be sabotaging of submarine cables, on which, of course, international trade and various other activities depend today. If cables are disturbed, they are damaged or sabotaged, that will affect the global economy to a great extent. There was also a discussion yesterday with regard to the great power rivalry and the need for the countries in the region, small and medium-sized countries in the region, to take decisions with whom they should get themselves attached to to side with one side or the other. Two sides are basically talking of either China or the West, including India. Then, of course, there were others who held the view that it is not necessary for one country or countries to take sides in the emerging the great power rivalry or the power rivalry, so long as they don't get themselves involved with the strategic arrangements with major powers. They should be able to develop trade and other relations and continue business as usual. So these are the observations that we heard. With regard to the cost of infrastructure development that is needed in the future, there were some references. I think the Japanese delegate made some reference to the fact that they are ready to come up with, or they have actually pledged $75 billion for development of countries in the infrastructure development, the countries in the region, and another $200 billion for meeting the or mitigating the climatic issues. But according to the ADB estimates, they have estimated the requirement for in the region will be in the region of $1 trillion a year, which is a huge amount of money. The kind of money that has been pledged by Japan, although it is significant in quantity-wise, will not be sufficient to meet the needs of the infrastructure development needs of the region. So the question is, I think it was a Chinese delegate who spoke from Shanghai, said where will this required funding will come from. So I don't think, other than the announcement that was made by Japan a couple of months ago with regard to this availability of 75 billion in 7 years, that is up to 2030, that is 10 billion a year, is a small amount not a complaint actually against Japan, but when you look at the wider canvas you see the development needs or the infrastructure development needs in the region is much more, and countries in the region will have to decide where they should go to seeking for these funds rather than attaching themselves to one particular grouping or the other. So those are the subjects that we discussed during the course of yesterday's meetings, and of course today we discussed another important subject. As I informed earlier, the conference what we are having today, it is a biennial event. The next one we will be holding will take place in 2 years' time, that is around 2026. That was the reason why we asked for the reaction of the participants with regard to the item or the themes what we have selected for this session, and whether they have any suggestions to make for the next event which we are going to have in 2 years' time. Thank you very much for the contributions you have made. I believe that you found the 2 days activities conducted by the Pathfinder Foundation was useful, and on my part I would like to thank you for your participation and express the hope we will see once again in our at least ocean related activities which we are going to have from time to time. I think we will have 2 more events, not as big as this, but some events relating to fisheries and relating to the Bay of Bengal in the coming months, and we hope we will have participation of your participation in those events. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Gunathilaka. Now for the vote of thanks, I invite Ambassador Ahmad Jawad, Director, Center for Indo-Lanka Initiatives of the Pathfinder Foundation.
Distinguished delegates, so we have come to the end, the vote of thanks. And believe me, it can be as difficult as curating the agenda for the conference, because so many names have got to be remembered and institutions, but I'll do my best. On behalf of the Pathfinder Foundation, I would like to place our grateful thanks to His Excellency Ranil Wickremesinghe, President of Sri Lanka, for having taken time off an extremely busy schedule and for consenting to be our keynote speaker at this event. Some of the thoughts that he shared with us off the cuff has left much food for thought and consideration as we plan for the next stage. Ambassador Shiv Shankar Menon, he's been literally the wind beneath our sails right through this conference process, starting with phase 1 and up to this one. And we are confident that he'll be with us as we go along in the years to come. His quiet inspiration has been a vote of confidence in this process, and we look forward to working with him very closely. To His Excellency Hayashi Makato, Assistant Minister at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Japan, we are grateful for his presence here in person and for his thoughts that he shared with us. We are also very, very thankful to our sponsors' encouragement of this process through their embassies in Colombo. To our distinguished presenters and panelists, you were the heart of this process. The thoughts that you brought out onto the table, some of them unheard by many of us, especially on the civilian side, has been very, very encouraging for this process as we go along. The questions and comments that followed each of these sessions reflected the interest with which each of your presentations and comments have been followed. We are thankful to the Secretary of the Foreign Ministry and staff of the Foreign Ministry for the tremendous support we received, especially from a logistical side, in arranging the nitty-gritties of this on the run-up to this conference. Our thanks to the management of the Cinnamon Grand for the excellent arrangements they have made, some of it coming from Pathfinder at the last minute, but they came up magnificently in making all the arrangements. I'll be remiss in my duties if I don't recognize the tremendous skills with which the Pathfinder team, especially the juniors, rallied round the process, working on weekends, on public holidays, in making what you saw yesterday and today a practical reality. And since there has been a constant reference to gender balance, may I say that in the Pathfinder, young Pathfinder team, the male species is really threatened with extinction. Such a dominant and welcome presence of the ladies, I think that's a part of Pathfinder's commitment to gender balance or overbalance in favor of the ladies. This list is, of course, by no means exhaustive, for the simple reason that so many seen and unseen hands contributing to this making of this conference. There have been so many. My apologies if I have left any of them out. The success of phase 3 was evident from the comments that were made on the flow of this conference. I shall not go into it. It certainly is an encouragement to Pathfinder Foundation to look ahead and plan with all the vigor required for phase. We look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lunch will now be served on the atrium. We hope to see you all soon again.